Welcome to my channel. My name is Ria and today we are going to talk about the new moon solar eclipse happening on 20th April 2023. So for this video we are going to focus primarily on Western astrology, and then towards the end I will mention real quick where this is happening in Vedic astrology. So let's get started. Now, a new moon signifies a new beginning, new energy coming in. It's the seeding of a new energy. And when it's an eclipse, it's a longer, more powerful beginning, you can say. Right? Eclipses are karmic, they're destined, they are fated. So we can feel this new energy coming in that might feel destined, karmic, fated. So that's what a new moon solar eclipse is in general. So it's bringing in new energy that might feel destined or karmic. Now this is happening in the sign of Aries at 29 degrees. You can see this. It's at 29 degrees in the sign of Aries. Now Aries is all about initiations. It's about beginnings. It's about starting things. It's the first sign of the zodiac. So a lot about starting new things, a lot about beginnings, a lot about initiations, right? Because it is happening in the sign of Aries. Now Aries on the positive is about taking action, moving forward, getting things done, right? So we have this abundance of energy that can help us move forward, get things done, start things. On the other hand, on the not so positive, Aries energy can be impulsive, it can be aggressive, it might not think of the consequences, right? So that's what we want to be mindful of. We want to be mindful of maybe starting things too impulsively, doing things too impulsively, or being aggressive, or not thinking things through, right? So that's what we need to watch out for. But generally speaking, this new energy is coming in, and this is a lot about new things, new beginnings, starts, right? Now this is a north node eclipse. This right here is Rahu, the north node, and the eclipse is sitting right next to the north node. So this is a north node solar eclipse, and the north node Rahu represents the future. It represents where we are headed. It represents a lot of other things as well, right? In Vedic astrology, Rahu, the north node, also represents things like obsessions, things like, thinking constantly about something. It's representative of not getting enough of something. Rahu in Vedic is also the innovator. It's the different one. It's the unique one. It's illusions. It's delusions. It's deception. So all these things in Vedic, Rahu is all these things in Vedic. But generally speaking, this is about moving towards something new, moving towards something that's about the future, moving towards something that can help you move away from the past, the south node Ketu, and help you step into the future, right? That's what Rahu is. Now, generally speaking, that's what the energy is. Personally, you want to look at 29 degrees of Aries for your charts, for your personal charts, right? That particular house, that's the area of your life where this energy will impact you. If you don't know your chart, that's perfectly okay. But if you do, you want to look at 29 degrees of Aries. Now, real quick, let's talk about the aspects that are going on with this moon, because that will tell us a little bit more about the energy of this eclipse, right? The first and the most important aspect is that this eclipse is squaring Pluto, 90-degree angle, right? This right here is Pluto, and Pluto just changed signs after almost 15 years, right? Since 2008, it was transiting the sign of Capricorn, but now on March 23rd, about a month ago, it entered the sign of Aquarius. You can see it's at the beginning of Aquarius. Pluto in astrology represents transformation. It's the complete ending of something, a beginning of something, right? It changes something in such a drastic manner that, that something feels completely new, completely changed. So that's what Pluto is. Simply put, a lot of transformation, things ending, things beginning, things closing, rebirth, right? And in a square to the moon, this tells me that this moon is an extremely transformative one, this eclipse, and there's a lot about ending things, there's a lot about beginning things, and this can require some work on our end. Why? Because this is a challenging aspect, a square, right? Squares represent friction, they represent a point of change, they represent this point where the pressure builds up so much that there's no option but to change, right? So this is a square, so there might be this feeling of so much pressure that we might feel, that might say, okay, this is not working anymore, I need to change this, I need to do something different, I need to start this thing in a new way. So watch out for feeling maybe slightly stressed out, because this is a challenging aspect. But on the other hand, if we are willing to transform, to change, to let go, to end things, to begin things, then we can work through that pressure, because that pressure is building up for a reason, right? It's building up and saying you need to change something, right? And it keeps on building till we take that action, till we make that change. So that is the most important aspect. This eclipse is making a square to Pluto, right? Big transformative beginnings coming in with this eclipse. And if you see, the North Node is in Taurus and this eclipse is in Aries. So that's also something to consider. Now, the next thing that I want to speak about is the fact that this eclipse is sitting next to Jupiter. Jupiter is right here at 23 degrees of Aries, and that's the Moon. So Jupiter is a magnifier, it's a benefic, it brings lessons, blessings, gifts, rewards, but it also brings lessons, right? So what this tells me is that there's a lot of Aries right now. Aries is magnified, this eclipse is in Aries, a lot about initiations, starting, moving forward, taking action, doing things, but also a lot about watching out for being impulsive and thinking for the long run. Right, Jupiter here with this eclipse can bring something positive, but Jupiter is also about lessons. So maybe you want to watch out for what are you learning at this time? Is there a lesson coming through for you? Right, so that's something to watch out for as well. Now, these are the two main aspects that are going on with the Moon. The most important one being a square to Pluto. Right, so now I'll just real quick cover the other things that are going on in the chart, and then we will tie it all together. So we also have Pluto here getting ready to square the nodes. It is already squaring the nodes, actually. 90-degree angle with both Rahu and Ketu, right? And this will build up till the month of July. And any planet in this configuration is magnified. Pluto is magnified. Transformation, endings, beginnings, right? So this eclipse can really kick off that change, that beginning, that transformation. But we will see a lot of that as Pluto square the nodes builds up and becomes stronger till July of this year. A lot about changes in these few months, right? At the same time, we have Saturn here sextiling the North Node, trining the South Node. In a way, it is also, actually it is sextiling the eclipse as well and trining the South Node. And Saturn is the planet of structure. It brings structure to things. It likes structure. It likes to plan. It likes to organize. It likes to think for the long run, right? So again, Saturn here can support us think for the long run. Very important when we have so much Aries. Plan things, structure them, be persistent, be consistent, be diligent, Capricorn, right? So Saturn can help us do these things. It's helping us. And it's in this way, if we plan, if we structure things, if we think for the long run while taking that action, while starting new things, while, taking initiative, Saturn here can help us move away from something from the past as well. South Node in Scorpio. So that's going on as well. And we have Mercury conjunct Uranus almost. Speaking of these two, right, Mercury is our logical mind, it's our intellect. And Uranus here is the planet of sudden change. It can also bring epiphanies, insights, realizations. And so close to Mercury, this can make us feel slightly frazzled, one, right, because Uranus is a lot of energy and it's sitting right next to Mercury, our mind, our intellect. So we can feel maybe slightly overwhelmed, maybe slightly frazzled. So that's something to be mindful of as well. On the other hand, this can help us with realizing things. It can help us with epiphanies and insights. So that's something to consider. And speaking of Mercury, soon after this eclipse, right, maybe a couple days later, it will go retrograde. So it is covering the area right now that it is going to retrograde over in the coming 2-3 days. And what that means is, be mindful of certain things that are going on right now, because these will come up for review in the next couple of weeks, in the next 2-3 weeks. And Mercury will be retrograde from April 23rd to mid-May. So till then, we'll be doing a lot of review, but right now Mercury is still direct on this moon. So think about what you are paying a lot of attention to. Think about, these kind of things, because these things in a way can come up for review as Mercury goes retrograde. Now, Mercury retrograde, generally speaking, is not the best time to start something brand new when it comes to communication, marketing, right? Gadgets, electronics can malfunction during Mercury retrograde. It is a great time to go back to something that you might have started in the past but not had the chance to complete, or take a second look, review something that you've already been working on, right? But starting something brand new with communication, with marketing, that sort of thing may not be the best thing during Mercury retrograde. Now, the next thing I want to speak about is that before the next moon, right, we have Pluto here go retrograde as well. So we'll see Pluto retrograde in the next few days before the next moon, before the next eclipse actually. So that's pretty much it. And one thing I'd like to mention is that this period from this moon to the next, these 2 weeks are very karmic, destined, fated, right? Because this is the period between eclipses. We have a new moon solar eclipse right now, and then 2 weeks later we will have the full moon lunar eclipse, right? So this period, these 14 days or so, is a very karmic, fated, destined time. So just be aware of that. So I think that sums it up. And just to say it all once again, if there's one thing I'd say about this eclipse, is that it's an extremely transformative one, right? It's going to kickstart big changes. It's going to kickstart big transformations. Kickstart because this is a new moon solar eclipse, and we do have Pluto building its square to the nodes over the next few months. So real quick, let's talk about what's happening in Vedic astrology. This eclipse in Vedic is also in the sign of Aries, right? But it's in the early degrees of Aries. One of the difference between Western astrology and Vedic astrology is where the energies are at. In Vedic, they're about 23-24 degrees behind, depending on which system you use, approx 23 degrees behind, right? So this is falling at about 6 degrees of Aries in Vedic. Now, Vedic astrology uses something known as the nakshatra system. Nakshatras are smaller divisions of a sign with their own ruler, with their own interpretation, with their own meaning, right? So this eclipse is falling in the nakshatra of Ashwini. Ashwini is the first nakshatra, and like the sign of Aries, it's a lot about beginnings, it's a lot about initiations, it's a lot about competition, it's a lot about movement, right? Ashwini is a very fast nakshatra. It's a lot about moving through something really quick, really fast. In Vedic astrology also, that thing of new starts, initiations, beginnings, being quick, being fast is very highlighted as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video and it was useful in some way, and now I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.